Assalamualaikum.
Oke.
Ya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Oke, teruskan Hazwan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Amin.
Allahumma aftah alaina hikmataka waj'al alaina min nazani rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin.
Amin. Okay, thank you, Hazwan.
Welcome.
Okay. There is a little bit different sounds I heard. Allahumma alayna hikmataka wa alayna min naza'ini rahmatika I heard. So be careful with the dua, okay? The changes in the pronunciation in Arabic may change the meaning.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, class. Okay, let me start for reproduction. Okay. The topic outline, I will highlight more on human reproductive system, ovarian and menstrual cycle, importance of the cycle, and sexual reproduction of flowering plant. And at the end of this chapter, I would like my students should able to describe about human reproductive system, roles of hormones and sexual reproduction for flowering plant. Okay. From puberty to menopause, fertility and contraception, despite being one of the most important process in nature, human reproduction is still widely misunderstood for many of us. Here you will learn about human reproduction by exploring the underlying biology, the most common myths, and the latest medical advance. And to help you understand the realities of making babies, having babies, and not having babies. Meaning that for reproduction, it is a process making a new you, the mini you. And then the main output from the reproduction process is making a new human. Not only human, most of the organism are doing reproduction, either sexual or asexual. From the lower level of organism to the higher level as well as plant. Okay. And as I had mentioned, the focus of this topic will be more on the human reproductive system so that it can help you to understand more on your nature. Okay. From the root words of produce or product, reproduce means you're making something. So reproduct or reproduce. So plus, what are we making? What are the product? Is another human, the mini-me or mini-you. Okay, from the word production. How about sex? When we start talking about sex, what does it mean? Okay, that's why this chapter will always have the underlying of misunderstood. Okay, when you fill a form, especially in a form that asking for your personal details, you have to write down your name, your surname, your identity number, and it asks you for your sex. Okay, what does it mean? What should you answer? Have you
Gender.
gender? Yeah, correct. Have you ever answered the sex in the personal detail forms? Never. Sex? Never. Sex? Maybe not. Sex? Not yet. Sex? I will. Right? We never answer that sex column in a form like that. We always answer either female or male. Okay. So that's sex, the meaning of sex. Okay. Male and female. Okay, I would like also to have your attention for this part. As we can see in this card, not only for this situation, but it happens long time ago during the Noah prophet's time. There are also some human that referring themselves as uncertain of male and female. They don't really understand themselves they are male or female, or current situation we call it as the LGBTQ. Okay, I'm not being racist or sexist, okay, but this LGBTQ, if, or I hope none of you belongs to the group or the community, but in case you feel you may also have sometimes uncertain about you being male or female, but let's have a look. Let's be true. By nature, that's nature have decided the best species will survive. So currently we are the human that survive from the extreme condition. So in nature we only have male and female. Please true to be yourself. Have a look at the physical looks. If you see your physical looks not really well developed, but let's have a look. Have an ultrasound or have at least um, scanning to your body system. What do you have? Is it a reproductive system or female reproductive system? Do you think you are male but you have uterus and ovary? You think you're a woman but you have this vas deferens, you have this prostate gland. Okay, so my point is, in by nature, naturally happens. Okay, the but and biologically, human will have this set of reproductive system that consists of certain item that we categorize as a male and another item that we categorize as female. And now, students, I would like to have your response. So, by nature, do you really think this LGBTQ community exists?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, they do exist, but by nature, they do not have. So by nature, even you belongs to this community. So if some of you are no, or some of you maybe belongs to this group, be true to yourself. Have a look to your biologically. What types of reproductive system that you had. Okay. But okay, how about this LGBTQ also exists? It's also, I'm not saying bukan it's still, I'm not saying ini salah siapa. No, we don't have to pinpoint to anyone. Tapi yang penting bukan salah ibu mengandung lah, right? Okay. But science tried to prove that what makes this situation happens is also because of nature. In our body, also because of biologically through our body, that the level of hormones that may affect the situation. Okay, even we know that there are 5 important hormones for reproductive system, which are the GnRH, gonadotrophin hormone, FSH, LH, estrogen and progesterone, testosterone. Remember, even in a female, they do have this testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, FSH, and LH. And same to a male, they do also have estrogen, progesterone, FSH, LH, and testosterone, but in a very different concentration. What makes a male really a male is they contain higher concentration of testosterone hormone than the female. Female also have concentration of testosterone but lower than the male. For instance, if the man have 10 times higher concentration, but the female maybe has around 1% concentration. Okay, so that is the difference. That somehow this hormone may give effect to the physical looks or may have a little bit disruption to the male and female reproductive system. So let's be clear with that, and please be true to yourself, as at least to your biological system. Okay. Okay, for human reproductive system, and most mammal do have this. When we talk about mammal, there are 5. We have plenty of types of mammal. Even the whales have the ovary and testes. The cat, what do we have? The cat, uh, no, the primates. Okay, the dog. The dog have very strong, profound testes. Okay. Okay, for male reproductive system, there are 8 items that making up the reproductive system, which are, okay, class, you may read it out loud together with me. There are testes, scrotum, seminiferous tubule, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, penis, and sex gland. There are about 3 types of sex glands. We have seminal vesicle that producing the semen, prostate gland or the alkaline fluid, and bulbourethral gland as a lubricant. So this sex gland is important to give a very warm condition when sending the sperm to the final destination. Okay, the reproductive system, male reproductive system, are having producing one main product. So what does the main product from male reproductive system? Any idea, class? Response? I need response. What is the main product from the male reproductive system?
Sperm.
Yes, perfect.
Sperm.
Thank you, recall. It is the sperm. Okay. Remember, the ultimate product from the male reproductive system is the sperm. And the sperm will be sending, the final destination of the sperm should be to the uterus or the oviduct. Okay, it will be sending through penis by penis and entering the oviduct or the uterus through vagina. So that is the final destination. Okay, let's have a look to the female reproductive system. There are consists of 5 items, which are the ovaries, the fallopian tube, the uterus, cervix, and vagina. Okay. Um, okay. What are the main product for female reproductive system?
Over. Ovum.
Okay, over. Thank you. And another one? Any idea what is another product from the female reproductive system? Class? Any try? Any attempt to try? Okay. You please bear in mind that uterus also included in the female reproductive system. If there is a fertilization, okay, if there is a fertilization, okay, if there is a fertilization, there will be a new yolk will be produced from the female reproductive system. So another product, if there is a fertilization, is a fetus or embryo, is a fetus or the mini you. Okay, so difference with male, only main product are produced, one main product, but in female, basically the ovum will be produced and another additional product if there is a fertilization, the fetus will be produced or a baby will be produced from the female reproductive system. Okay, for the anatomy section, let's clarify the 8 items included in the male reproductive system. We have 1, testis, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, penis. Uh, it should be 8. What is the other? Seminiferous tubule. Where is seminiferous tubule? Inside, okay, testis, seminiferous tubule, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, penis, okay, and the sex gland. Okay, this is the bulbourethral gland, seminal vesicle, and prostate gland. Okay, this is the cross-section view for the anatomy of male reproductive system. Close to the male reproductive system is the female part that are five, consists of five. There are the vagina, the cervix, the uterus, this is the uterus elongated with the fallopian tube or the oviduct, and the ovary. Okay, let me let me clarify with you. Do ovary and uterus is similar? Are they the same item?
No, I think
No.
No.
Okay. Do they located at the same place?
No.
Yes. No. No. Correct. They are located very close to each other, but at different places, not in one places. Okay, this is really important. Even for my male student, I really want you to really understand where is the location. There is two different organ. Understand that ovary and uterus is very different organ, and also understand that there is an important event occur in ovary as well as the uterus. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, um, I asked you to at least have a sneak peek to read about the reproductive system, where in the ovary, we have the ovarian cycle, while in uterus, we have the menstrual cycle. So these two events are different and happen at the different location. We'll get back to it later. Okay, the dot in green is focusing more on the testis because this is the center where the sperm produce. Okay, and this one colored in green is actually where the location the ovum produce, not in the uterus. Remember. Now memorize more. Okay, not only memorizing. Okay, not only memorizing, but by understanding, memorizing come along. Now I can say that you clearly understand the difference of the places and the function and um, location. Okay. Okay. Since it has been highlighted, okay, it's been highlighted. Um, the testis and the ovary is the place where the gametogenesis take place. Okay. This is very important. I really need my female and male student really understand the process. It is because to further understand the condition, your biologically condition, and for male students, it's not only for the knowledge, but it's to enable you to assist your partner, your future partner, or your future daughter, or your sister, or your little sister. Okay, in order to understand the reproduction system. Okay, a father should know the condition so that the father can assist the spouse or the mother in the family. We have two types of gametogenesis from the word gamet. We have the spermatogenesis, that making sperm. We have oogenesis or oogenesis, okay, that making the ovum. Okay, we continue with the spermatogenesis first. Okay, from the it is all started. Bear in mind that gametogenesis is started from primordial germ cell. Okay, both male, the fetus. Okay, let's talk about during the process when a baby still in the womb of the mother. So they are developing the primordial germ cell. Okay. If you notice that if your mother get pregnant or you have an auntie now get pregnant or your sister, but there a certain period after during the pregnancy they are able to know the gender of the fetus. Okay. It is when the primordial germ cell have determined after going through differentiation through mitosis So they will further develop and differentiate the cell into either spermatogonium or oogonium. So if it is spermatogonium, it will be producing a baby boy. So that's why the development require around, basically we able to know the gender around 16 weeks or 16 weeks of the pregnancy means 4 months or 3 to 4 months we may able to know. Okay. Spermatogonium is singular. So many spermatogonium is spermatogonia. And then after that the spermatogonium still undergo mitosis producing spermatocyte. Okay. Spermatocyte is produced through mitosis. Then only spermatocyte doing a meiosis producing spermatides and spermatozoa. Okay, class. I would like to ask and have some response. Do you think that the spermatocyte, spermatids, and spermatozoa are the same item? Do they really a sperm? Do you think spermatocytes, spermatids, and spermatozoa are similar?
No.
Yes.
No way.
Okay. It is okay. Contohnya, nama Hazwan cakap tadi iya kan? It's correct Hazwan. Hazwan Haziq. Kalau saya panggil Hazwan Haziq, saya panggil dia Hazwan, saya panggil dia Wan, saya panggil dia Haziq. Is this still the same person?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Same to this item in biology. Like we had learned in cell division. We have chromatin, we have chromosome, we have chromatin. Do they the same item? Yes, but only in the different form. It is still in a coil folded. It is chromatin, but it still contains the genetic information. If it is already thickened and visible, it is chromosome. And if it is separated, it is chromatid. So do the spermatocyte, spermatid, and spermatozoa. It is the sperm that carry the information about a male. And spermatocyte divided into another name is primary spermatocyte and secondary spermatocyte. The first one that undergo meiosis one we call primary spermatocyte. So the same item that undergoes secondary meiosis, it is now called secondary spermatocyte. And then it further develops into spermatids and spermatozoa. It is the difference in the form, difference of maturity and forms. Okay. Like you, when you were younger, someone may call you Ade, but now when you're growing up, you getting your full name Hazwan, Hadi, okay, kind of stuff. Okay. And where is the location the sperms is produced? In the, let be precise, as a biological student, let be precise, is no longer in general terms for thesis. It is produced in seminiferous tubule. Okay, this one that's been highlighted. This is your testis that contain a folded of seminiferous tubule. Okay, when we cut and have a cross section of this seminiferous tubule, this is the looks of the piece, the cross section from the testis. So from this seminiferous tubule, if we can see here, it has a lot of spermatogonia, gonium. Makes a lot of spermatogonia. So let's have a look for one spermatogonium. It further divided into a true mitosis and producing primary spermatocyte. Okay, remember, spermatocyte is produced through mitosis, not meiosis. But the primary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis. Okay, meiosis 1. And then it will go to forming the secondary spermatocyte. If you can see, primary spermatocyte lack of the kind of the tail, secondary spermatocyte as well, and it's now undergo meiosis 2, producing the spermatid and the mature, and then spermatozoa is a very mature form, and with this complete feature. Okay, and let's have back a look to this cross section. And if you can see, it is started from the edge of the seminiferous tubule and it goes to the center. And at the center, there's a hole, the white color inside the hole. So the sperms will go across this section and will stay at the epididymis. Okay? And the process inside this seminiferous tube will take about 7 weeks for making one sperm. Okay, 7 weeks is around two months. Okay, around 7 weeks in 2 months. And we do have also this Sertoli cell. Okay, Sertoli cell is very important because it will receive a signal from the FSH hormone to stimulate more production of the sperm. Okay, once the sperm stay produced after 7 weeks and we will transfer to the epididymis. Okay. This is a very straightforward process like a normal meiosis 1 completed, meiosis 2, and we will be able to have 4 haploid sperm. Okay. 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 For epididymis, here is epididymis. Let's have a look back to the epididymis. This is the epididymis. So for making one sperm, it takes about 7 weeks, and then the sperm will go to and stay at the epididymis. Okay, this epididymis is in a folded form. Okay, and if that's why the sperm should have a tail and a lot of mitochondria to have the energy to swim, because epididymis, okay, it is if it is we make it a one straight line, it is about 6 meter long. Okay, 6 meter long is quite long. If you measure with your door in your room, the door basically is 2 meter. And I would say 6 meter long would be the height of your um, hostel, your block I or block J, around 5-story building. Okay, so that is how long the epididymis is. Then we have a look to the your precious sperm. It has 3 parts: the head, the middle piece, and the tail. Where the head has important part is called acrosome, where this acrosome contain enzyme that help the sperm penetrate to the egg or the ovum. And a large number of mitochondria provided for sperm, enable for sperm to going further, not only from the seminars, not only further to go to the fallopian tube, but the sperm is the champion, the swimming champion throughout this process. Not during the semi-menstrual, it also have to swim well in the epididymis and to the final destination. Okay, okay, this is the pathway of the sperm. A very straightforward process. From the seminiferous tubule, it goes to the epididymis, go to vas deferens, to the ejaculatory duct, penis, vagina, uterus, and if it is lucky enough, there will be the fertilization. That is the spermatogenesis. Okay, we continue with the oogenesis or oogenesis. Okay, this is very crucial part because in this slide it's showing you from the primordial germ cell, it's finally forming the oogonia, which is similar to spermatogonia, producing primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, and the ovum. But in the same time, oogenesis also producing follicle. And then now the follicle has various names: primary follicle, Graafian follicle, corpus luteum, up to corpus luteum. Okay. Along that process, they do also have polar body and second polar body. Okay. Why I would say this is very important. Very different with the male reproductive system. Oogenesis having follicle that produce together with the ovum. Okay. how would I like to describe this? By nature kan, secara yang kita tahu perempuan ni haruslah dilindungi, disayangi, dijaga, diberi keselamatan kan. So the best way adalah kalau ada abang, ada kakak, so the girl, this female, this woman should be secure, fully secure. Okay, that is in our reality. But to be precise, in reality by nature, this is shown through the oogenesis process. Okay, the ovum is not only will be itself, but it will have the guardian angel. I would always say the follicle is the guardian angel of the ovum. When the ovum grows, the follicle also growing. If the follicle not growing, the it will affect the ovum, and maybe there is a time when the follicle feels, oh, this is the time you had nature enough. This is only the time that we will be together, BFF forever. I will now let you go through the process of ovulation. Okay, but let's have a look first about the process. But I really want you to understand there is two items that included during the oogenesis. Rather, either not only producing hormone, in the same time, oogenesis producing follicle. Okay. Here in the ovary, okay, remember, okay, please memorize that ovary is very different with the uterus. The ovary is producing the ovum together with the follicle. Okay. Okay, started with the primary follicle. Inside the primary follicle, it has the primary oocyte. Primary, or you can say primary oocyte. Okay, so primary oocyte, primary follicle, together with the primary oocyte. And it also has, okay, if we're going to, is change with time and size. Where inside is still the primary oocyte, and the follicle is now growing up. It's changed name to maybe granulosa cell. Somehow it's called secondary follicle. So it is now become bigger. The oocyte inside the follicle also getting bigger. Okay, this is meaning that the ovum will always not be alone. Follicle will always be the guardian angel to the ovum. Okay, and now it further developed, it forming we call a graphene follicle or almost mature. So this is the secondary oocyte. Okay, and we do close to the secondary oocyte. Okay, this is oocyte. Okay, this is also another guardian angel. So we call it zona pellucida. Okay, and when there is a time when, if you can notice that this um, follicle starting touching the ovary, the wall of the the ovary, and when the perfect time, the follicle will release the secondary oocyte. Okay, so along the process, actually, that while if you're having your ovulation every month, it is not actually your ovum, not a real ovum, but it is a secondary oocyte. It is called. It also, even after the first guardian angel releasing the ovum, it still has some friends that guided the oocyte, the ovulated oocyte. It is called. It has another friends called corona radiata. And then what happened to the follicle? So dia cakap, pergilah kau, kawan baikku, inilah masa untuk berdikari, okay? So tinggallah diriku di dalam ovary untuk menjalankan the further work. Okay. What happened to the follicle? It should develop into a corpus luteum. It is very important because corpus luteum will producing hormone which is the progesterone, to enable or assist the uterus to keep on thickening.
the whole day.
Okay, Muhammad. Muhammad apa tu? Azamuddin, please mute your microphone. You had interrupting. Okay. It is very important the follicle keep growing, so another hormone will be produced. Right. Okay. We will talk about the hormone later, but this is the process that involve follicle. Okay. Okay. Follicle have to develop as well, because if the follicle not able to develop, so the hormone will be not able to produce along the process. Okay. Is it clear, class? Between inside the oogenesis, is it clear?
Clear.
Yes, miss.
Okay, good. Okay. So another item that may always get confused with the oogenesis is, if you refer most of the books will always try to explain the situation together with time. Okay. But let's undergo the process one by one first, then I will tell you the time when these things may happen. Okay. Okay, during the process is from the primordial germ cell, it go mitosis or ogonium, and then it go mitosis again, become primary oocyte, and then it go to meiosis one. Okay, and after the primary oocyte go to meiosis one, it will be producing secondary oocyte and first polar body, and then the secondary oocyte will continue meiosis two, producing ovum and second polar body. Okay. Clear? That process is very straightforward. Clear, class?
Clear.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Nice, miss.
Yes, thank you for the feedback.
Miss.
Okay.
What is the function of first polar body and second polar body?
Okay, let me explain now. Thank you, Asma. Please mute your mic. Okay. Okay. That is very clear process. Let me explain in terms of time. Okay. Then I will go on for the first polar body, what happened to the second polar body. Okay, this process, and let me show you through this diagram. Okay. Okay, before birth. Okay, before birth, this process happened together both, of course, because oocyte inside the follicle. So this thing happened during before birth. I will try to explain in terms of time. Okay, and before birth, a baby girl will have a lot of primary oocyte, and it stops until prophase 1. It will stay at this stage until puberty. So, or during your childhood, the ovary that you had, the ovum that you had in your ovary is actually the primary oocyte. Okay, so meaning that ovary is active, but it's still producing ovum in the primary oocyte. Okay, this one if during puberty. Okay, each month from puberty to menopause. Okay, after puberty, around 11 years old, 12 years old, so the female will start, the primary oocyte inside the ovary will grow and continue the meiosis 1. Bear in mind that it is stopped until prophase 1 before birth during the baby girl. And it will stay dormant at that position during the childhood. But once a female gets puberty time, the primary oocyte now continue the meiosis every month and producing secondary oocyte. So the ovulation that we had every month for every female, it is actually not a complete ovum, but the releasing of secondary oocyte. Okay, so when the secondary oocyte produce, out of the ovary, it also producing first polar body. Okay, not as simple as the sperms. The ovum will during the telophase of the meiosis one, where this secondary oocyte will having the during the telophase they are unequal size of ovum produced, which is the secondary oocyte, which having a very true ovum and first polar body. So some says this okay, this is in the medical world, this is still very unclear process. Nothing not clear. It is very clear that during the telophase, the secondary oocyte is bigger than first polar body. Kan? It should be equal in size during the telophase when the cytokinesis happen. So the cytoplasm will separate evenly. Okay, will separate equally, but not in the case of oogenesis, where the secondary oocyte will bigger in size, and another one is will be smaller in size, which is now we call as a first polar body. Okay, and the secondary oocyte will continue the process in meiosis 2 until metaphase. Okay. Okay, macam tu lah kan perempuan ni kalau mau bagi gini mau mengurat dia kan macam dia stay dulu dia nak cakap yes or no. So it will stay and have a loop until metaphase 2. The meiosis is still incomplete. It is only complete if there is a fertilization. Okay. Okay, remember from this diagram, there is when the ovulation, secondary oocyte is ejected, released together with the first polar body, and it will develop into meiosis 2 up to metaphase 2. And if there is a fertilization, if you can see my cursor here, the sperm now touch to contact the secondary oocyte. And remember, secondary oocyte also have corona radiata around. So once the sperm able to penetrate the corona radiata and the zona pellucida, so the ovum will quickly receive the signal and further develop and complete the meiosis 2. Complete meiosis 2 meaning that it will produce the ovum, again unequal size, and producing second polar body. Okay. So in real meiosis 2 for oogenesis is not exactly forming 4 haploid cell. It is actually it is still producing haploid cell, but not necessary for daughter cell. Okay, and the ovum also will very short of time will stay as ovum as a haploid, because once it is fertilized, it will combine with the sperm, and this will be further developed and doing aggressive mitosis. And now this fertilized ovum will no longer haploid, but because it's combined with the sperm, it is now a diploid cell. Okay, do I answer the question, Hazwan?
Yes, thank you.
Alright. Okay, I hope everyone, I would like to have any response from the girls. Is it clear for you about the oogenesis process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, once you understand, it is time for you to try to memorize. But please, you have to understand the formation of the oogenesis that not only involve ovum production, but it is involve follicle production. Okay, why we have to highlight this item? Why we have to not neglect the existence of the follicle? Because this will help in the hormone regulation, which further important during the ovarian cycle and menstrual cycle. Okay. I do really hope my students is getting clear of this. elements. Okay. Okay. Maybe we can try. What will be the best definition, or can you define what is ovulation is? Any response, please?
The process of producing ovum.
It is a genesis. Not really correct, Anik. Process of producing ovum is oogenesis. My question is, what will be the best definition for ovulation?
The ovum travels to the uterus.
Not exactly.
Release from ovary.
Okay. Okay, Dayan, almost there. Any attempt? Come on, class, K3. Okay. The best way explaining ovulation is the releasing or ejecting of secondary oocyte from the ovary through follicle. Okay. The best way, please use the word secondary oocyte, but you can also use ovum. But it is the keyword is releasing, um, or the travel, not travel, yeah, travel. Not really a travel. Okay. The best way is the releasing of the ovum from the ovary through the follicle. Okay. Okay, let's have a look for the difference between the two again. This cell is the ovum or the secondary oocyte, the ovum still have the guardian angel around, where we have this outside is the corona radiata and zona pellucida. So where this is where the acrosome play a major role. When it's touched to the ovum, it should give a signal so that the corona radiata can merge the pair, and the cell will quickly do the complete meiosis too, and allowing the nucleus of the sperm meet the nucleus of the ovum. Okay. We continue again, class, with the female reproductive cycle. Okay, you can make some stretching. Okay. This is very crucial, not only for the female as well as my male students. You have to remember the process. Not only you have to understand, and but first I really want you to understand, and the second one I would like you to be able to memorize sampai mati. Okay? Kalau tidak sempat ingat sampai mati pun tak apa, but at least you may able to understand the process, the condition sampai tua, sampai mati. Okay, we have two types of cycle in the female reproductive system, where we do have menstrual cycle and ovulation cycle. Okay, I need some feedback, class. Where do the menstrual cycle take place?
Ovum. Ovum.
Uterus.
Ovary. Ovary.
Okay, my question is, where does the menstrual cycle take place? Okay, kita tengok soalan dulu lah. We have, okay, we have A and B. Name A and B and identify X process that occur in B. So what is A?
Uterus.
What is the event occur in A?
Menstrual cycle.
Okay, perfect. How about B?
Ovary.
The location is ovary. The event is
Ovulation.
ovarian cycle that has ovulation. Okay? Masih belum camping lagi ya. Okay, let me make you the brightest one in this topic. Again, let me repeat. The female reproductive cycle that consists of two types: menstrual cycle that happen in uterus, ovulation cycle that happen in ovary. The main process later. And these two cycles is highly dependent on hormone, where we have five important hormones, that is GnRH, FSH, LH, estrogen, and progesterone. Okay, it is not included the testosterone in with the cycle, but female do have testosterone. And these five hormones also have in male. Okay, how many hormone class? So we'll repeat together after me. You can read it out loud by yourself. We have GnRH. It is a gonadotropin releasing hormone. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. LH is luteinizing hormone. Estrogen and progesterone. Okay, you can use the short form of GnRH, FSH, and LH because it is well profound for this name. Okay. Okay. So again, let's have a very clear understanding from the graph. I don't want you just have this graph and only have a glance on it, but let's really understand how to read the graph in biology. Okay, not only this graph for your cycle, but we will have a lot of graph during biology. Even in your experiment, we can able to have a graph. Okay, reading a graph is a mathematics words, it's a mathematic language. So reading a graph is very simple. You don't have to look at the fancy items, but first identify what will be the x-axis and what will be the x-axis. The y-axis. In a graph, always first look at the x and y. And according to our graph, as shown in the PowerPoint, the x-axis consists of the day. We have day 0 up to day 28. Okay, somehow in some books it's up to day 30. And in y-axis, we have some level. We have this event. We have fluctuation gonadotropin level. And second graph, the y is about the fluctuation of ovarian hormone. And the third graph is ovarian cycle. Fourth graph is the menstrual cycle. Okay. I would like to have your attention between these two graphs first, between C and D, then later on we're going to the A and B. Okay, for a C, this graph, the x-axis is explaining about the day, and y-axis is explaining about the ovarian cycle. Okay, this graph have two, we call as an ovarian cycle. It has two major events or phases or stages. So meaning that ovarian cycle has follicular phases and luteal phases. Okay, class, what are the phases included in ovarian cycle? Okay, close your eyes and answer by your own. That are follicular phase and luteal phase. That is for ovarian cycle. Okay, another cycle is the menstrual cycle, which is happen in uterus. Rather than have two phases in menstrual cycle, it has three phases, which are menstrual flow phase, proliferative phase, and secretory phase. How many phases for menstrual cycle, class? Three. They are and secretory phase. Okay. Let me explain back the ovarian cycle. Follicular phase happens from day 0 up to day 14. Okay. There is the follicular phase, meaning that what happened in this time, the follicle have to grow, so that the oocyte inside the follicle will also growing. And in the same time, the follicle have to grow because it will helps producing hormone. And in the middle of the between the two phases in ovarian cycle, there is an event called ovulation. Okay, it happens in day 14. Some books give day 15. Yeah. Then after ovulation, the ovarian cycle will enter the luteal phase, where at this time the follicle has to change shape and now become a corpus luteum to keep, and then if there no fertilization, it will disintegrate during luteal phase. Okay, it happens from the day 14 to day 28. And how about the menstrual cycle? Okay, the menstrual flow is the where the bleeding occur. It happens from day 0 to day 5, and after that, it enters the proliferative phase. So from the words proliferative, or the growing or development take place of the endometrium wall. What are the items that proliferate? It is the endometrium wall of the uterus. And then after it is from day 5 to day 14, so around 9 days to 18 days. And after that, it will have a secretory phase from day 14 to day 28. Okay, at this time, if you can see that the endometrium wall is thickened, it is also called the thickening of the endometrium wall, where it is the wall have do all the secretion. So what is being secreted? All the blood, all the tissue to prepare a very good condition for the fertilized egg. Okay. Okay. Macam if you are expecting kan, bila okay mau ada baby, kan kita akan decor, there is a nursery for your baby, ada baby room. So this is a function of secretory phase. So your uterus is preparing the best condition for the fertilized egg, so that the many you will be able grow inside the comfortable condition. Okay. Okay, if we can see that these two events occur simultaneously and concurrently. Okay. And that is important why during the ovulation, okay, let's say during the ovulation now, the oocyte is released and will try to find the fallopian tube and will go to the uterus. So that's why it is very important for ovulation, because when the ovum release, and this time the uterus is also very well prepared to have fertilized condition, and it will full with blood. Okay. And when things happen, corpus luteum at this time, if we can now we can see let's have a look for the hormone. When the corpus luteum produce, there is high amount of progesterone detected in our body, where the higher concentration of progesterone is required and important to keep this uterus thickened, or endometrium thickened. If there is no fertilization, the progesterone will reduce as the corpus luteum degenerate, because corpus luteum will help for help in stimulating the secretion of progesterone. Okay, and in the same time, okay, these two hormones, estrogen and progesterone, is having a negative feedback between LH and FSH. Okay, now let's have a look for the hormone. Okay, in this period between day 0 to day 14, okay, LH and FSH is almost have a higher concentration with the estrogen. Okay, remember LH and FSH will be produced by the pituitary gland, and the effect will be on the follicle because a follicle will, when it have the signal, and this will stimulate the follicle to secrete estrogen and progesterone. And the effect of estrogen and progesterone not on the follicle but on the uterus for the thickening of the endometrium wall. So these four hormones actually, will have a negative feedback, meaning that um, estrogen, LH and FSH should be higher than estrogen at this time so that the follicle may able to grow. And if you can see that when the ovulation time close to the time, the LH, the FSH is increased, the LH is increased, as well as the estrogen. So LH and FSH have to increase so that it will burst and give the power to the follicle to burst or release uh, the ovum during the ovulation. At this time, after the ovulation, the FSH and LH will start to decrease so that the estrogen and progesterone will increase. Meaning that at this time, there are no formulation of follicle because FSH will stimulate the formation of follicle. So it's inhibit estrogen and progesterone will inhibit the FSH and LH to uh, producing more mature follicle. Okay, this is how the hormone is inhibit, which I would say the negative feedback. Okay, clear class so far?
Clear.
Okay. Okay, let's get back to the follicle. I forgot to mention there is a follicular body here. Okay. Okay, by understanding, okay, we understand the cycle, but let's throwback, okay, get back to this situation in the ovary in oogenesis. Okay. By understanding the first polar body and second polar body, somehow this may explain to us um, do you ever heard about the ovarian cyst? Okay, the medical condition where some women have experienced second ovarian cyst. It's different with the fibroid, but somehow the ovarian cyst, the arising of the ovarian cyst is through this situation. So it might say that first polar body is another mini U which also have this information. If you can see, it is half life, so it is have the condition, but it is not able to. If it is, some book says that if it is fertilized with the sperm, it's not able to getting bigger and bigger, and finally it will be disintegrate by itself. Okay, let's have a look with the more understanding from the words from the flow. We have the menstrual cycle. The flow phase is the starting point where the bleeding happens. So all the bleeding, okay, when there is no fertilization, this secretory phase will degenerate and the cycle will start again, and all the supply, the blood supply, and all the cell will be discharged during the menstrual cycle where the blood is discharged. Okay. And macam juga yang ada daging-daging tu. So the daging-daging is actually the endometrium wall. And it lasts, a discharge of endometrium wall lasts for 3 to 5 days, and it is also called as a menstruation. While in proliferative phase, at this time it's regenerate the endometrium wall, and the secretory phase is thickening of the endometrial wall. So this is the menstrual cycle with all the phases. And okay, an ovarian cycle during the follicular phase, the growth of follicle, it takes about 14 days. The oocyte enlarge, follicle also enlarge and thickens, mature of follicle. Okay, at this time, the condition also change the name of the follicle where we have primary follicle, Graafian follicle. Okay, and we have the ovulation, and we do have Finally, the secondary oocyte will release, and it occurs between 14 days. And it goes to the luteal phase where the development of follicle tissue into corpus luteum, so that the production of progesterone and estrogen will continue. Okay, and if you can see here, this is the hormone, how the hormone effect LH and FSH will effect on the development, will effect at the ovary for the development of the follicle, and after that it will degenerate because progesterone and estrogen higher, and it will give effect to the endometrium wall. Okay. Would like to continue. Is it fine for class if we continue, or you need take 5? Class?
Take 5.
5 days.
Okay. Let's have a take 5, and we will continue the one afterwards. Okay, while you having your take 5, I would like to give the attendance list. Sorry. In the WebEx. Okay, we continue with the cycle and the hormone. Now we already understand the cycle, the graph, okay, and from the graph and the cycle also affected by the hormone. Okay, there are 5 major hormones that involve. Okay, class, again repeat after me. The GnRH, the FSH, LH, estrogen, and progesterone. Okay, GnRH. Okay, let's be clear. GnRH is producing by the hypothalamus. Okay, can someone respond to me where does the hypothalamus is?
At the brain.
Okay, good, perfect. Thank you, Nur Adelina. Hypothalamus is at the brain. Okay, similar with our if you still remember, we have voluntary action and involuntary action. So hypothalamus is conducting the involuntary action macam menarik nafas, degupan jantung, kelipan mata. So the production of GnRH is involuntary action is set by the hypothalamus dengan kuasa Tuhan. Okay, dengan bantuan kuasa Tuhan. So the GnRH will always be produced through hypothalamus. Okay, how to identify the GnRH is now higher level higher level is when we do a blood testing, so we can detect that there is a high concentration of GnRH in our blood. So the whole body can have the signal that the GnRH now is in higher concentration. So I should respond. Who should respond? Pituitary gland. Another part in the brain. Once pituitary gland get the signal from the GnRH, the pituitary gland will get stimulated and secreting FSH and LH hormone. Okay. Remember that FSH and LH is produced by the pituitary gland, but the effect of the FSH and LH is on the ovary. So when the pituitary gland secrete FSH and LH, ovary will detect the situation, the hormone, there is a higher concentration of FSH and LH. So the follicle should grow and have the development. So when the follicle have the development in the ovaries, so the ovaries now able to produce estrogen and progesterone from the follicle. So this is how the 5 hormones get connected. Okay, from the hypothalamus producing the GnRH, and pituitary gland get the signal, and further secrete the FSH and LH, give the instruction to secrete the FSH and LH, and then the ovary have the signal, and it will be able to secrete estrogen and progesterone. GnRH, okay, stimulates pituitary gland to secrete FSH and LH, while FSH secreted by the pituitary gland and will stimulate follicle growth for follicular phase, and also follicle will able to secrete estrogen, and estrogen level increase, LH increase for ovulation. Okay. The estrogen, LH, and follicle have to get higher amount for ovulation to occur, especially estrogen and LH. If the concentration between these two are imbalanced, so might possibility ovulation may not occur. So if there is a copulation between this male and female, most probably the chances of fertilized egg will not occur because there is no ovulation. In case there is follicle FSH, if the follicle unable to detect the FSH, the effect will be no ovulation occur. And in the same time, LH will further stimulate transformation of follicle to the corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum able to secrete estrogen and progesterone, while progesterone secreted by follicle in the ovary to inhibit secretion of FSH and LH to avoid follicle growth and maintain thickening of endometrium wall. Okay, kita coba buat sedikit ulang kaji. Okay. Combined pill is an oral contraceptive that contains high level of estrogen and progesterone. Okay. Using your knowledge of reproductive hormone, describe how it will prevent pregnancy from occurring. Okay, ada siapa mau cuba? Tak payah tengok buku. So from your understanding, how this condition may occur. Any attempt to try, class? Hi, class. Ada siapa mau coba?
It prevents the the ovary from releasing egg.
No. It is the function of FSH and LH. This one, if we always estrogen and progesterone. Oh yeah, there is a clue. Maybe Anik, can you further explain again how higher level of estrogen and progesterone may inhibit the releasing of the secondary oocyte? Chris, okay?
Miss, can I try?
Okay, please.
If high level of estrogen and progesterone keep high level, LH and FSH will stay low level, and because before the ovulation on days 14, LH and FH will increase, right? So because the high level of the estrogen and progesterone, LH and FSH will stay low and there will no ovulation occur.
Why there is no ovulation occur? Almost there, but one point is missing. There will be no ovulation occur. Why the no ovulation?
Because LH and FSH not high enough.
What is necessary FSH and LH to have higher concentration?
The follicle.
enable
No.
the follicle to grow and secrete.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I forgot that.
Okay. Perfect. Nice attempt, Akudin. So that is correct. When there is a very high progesterone, so it will inhibit the concentration of the FSH where the follicle unable to develop or not able to grow. So when this follicle not able to grow, it will may not allow the follicle to burst or release the secondary oocyte. So there will be no ovulation. Okay. Okay, perfect. Good try. Good answer actually and good understanding. Okay, good understanding kan?
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Okay, saya pengen ngajar kan? Okay. Oh. Okay, Mina. Okay, so that is how the connection between the cycle by understanding the oogenesis, the cycle, and the hormone. Okay, let's have a recap back. The oogenesis was producing the oocyte, ovum, where the female cycle has two types. They are ovarian cycle and menstrual cycle. Ovarian cycle consists of two, which are follicular and luteal phase. And menstrual cycle has three phases that are menstrual flow analysis, proliferative phase, and secretory phase. Okay, perfect. Saya tahu kamu cuba dengan saya kan? Okay, we continue with the importance by understanding that another thing that really important is to track the cycle. Okay, there is very important, especially for female, to tracking the cycle. Okay, kadang-kadang ada juga ibu yang malas, bapak dia yang tolong track cycle mak dia. That's happened. Okay, I see this thing. Okay, kenapa pun? Okay, how before that, how to track the your cycle? Biasanya cycle yang kita boleh detect ni not ovarian. We can detect the menstrual cycle because we can see the discharge of the blood. Okay. Previously, in my period, my primitive time, I and my friend, we basically mark manually in calendar. This is the day that we have the bleeding. But now you can use or you can mark in your apps. You can just simply write my period tracker. Okay. There is various type of tracker. I would suggest to use my calendar where you can see the cat there. Okay, and then you click in. When is your first day of menstruation, and then when is your final day of become suci again. Okay, and then when you do it rapidly, so you can see the trend. Are you the person having the 20-day cycle or maybe longer? Or okay, why this is important? Because some person the cycle, even many books in general, the cycles is in general is around 28 to 30 days, but it may happens up to 40 days. It depends to certain female in the condition. So somehow if you're, for example, if you are this 40 days longer, and then the cycle start back and then it will be in the 40 days, so that is considered normal to you. Okay, not necessarily must be 28 or 30. Okay. Another thing is especially in medical that most of the disease have a symptom, but not for the reproductive system. For instance, if you constantly have this headache, very strange feeling of the headache, you might be, we call maybe a migraine, okay? But for reproductive system, you do not have these symptoms if there is abnormalities. Okay. It is only happen when you go to you have to go to the ultrasound, or maybe you try to making babies but you do not able to do it, then it will be identified. So the first things, if there is involved the cycle, doctor will ask, well, when will be your last period? How do you think your period is constant? Okay, things like that. So it is very important to track your menstrual cycle. And also The importance is to make you further understand the fertility and infertility that may happen in your biological system. And having that knowledge, you can also have the birth control. Okay, kalau di Malaysia, we call the birth control as a family planning. Okay, when I say birth control, it's not necessary you have to get married. By nature, a mature male and female can copulate together and having a birth, okay, having a pregnancy. But in Malaysia, especially in our country, the pregnancy should be in a legal way through marriage. The legal of the pregnancy is through marriage. But in certain country where staying together is allowed, if you're not getting married, but you are allowed to register if it's living together. So this condition may happen, right? So by having this knowledge, you can predict when will be, you can control, well, either you want be the fertilization occur or not. Okay. And another thing, okay, na'udzubillah, semoga saya, kamu semua dilindungi in case bad things happen to you, maybe ada yang kena rogol ke kan, na'udzubillah semua coy-coy ada yang kena rogol ke apa, at least it is not easy to have that traumatized another part, but you can understand your body in that time. So kalau macam you have to undergo the medical checkup. So again, this condition kalau lagi case rogol, polis, not only police nurse, doctor akan tanya, hospital akan tanya when will be your last period ke apa, and for that to that extent. Okay. And another thing, importance of tracking cycle. Okay, have you ever heard about this symptom? I call it as, not I, it is a MRKH system. Sorry, MRKH symptom. The full name, I don't really sure how to pronounce it because it's have the certain alphabet. But let's say it is a Meyer Rokitansky Kastekhauser. It is the symptom. Okay. Any idea, class, about this symptom? Okay, sama-sama tu you may Google. MRKH symptom is where a female never experienced menstruation. Okay. It is genetically born without uterus. Okay. So what does it mean? If a female doesn't have uterus, what is the consequences?
No fertilization.
Fertilization can occur. Dayang, tadi?
Infertile.
Infertile, not really, because they still have ovary. Basically, these females still have ovary. They only lack of uterus. What does that mean?
No
Embryo,
implantation.
no.
Yeah, perfect. No implantation. So, Danny boleh make pregnant ke tidak?
No.
No.
Okay. These things happen, I have students, my ex-asasi student, kau punya senior dulu, they have this MRKH symptom. Okay. When they through this lecture, when there's another girl, she's just discovered this item when she noticed that she never had any menstruation along her 18 years old. So she going to check up at the RW, and then she discovered these things. But from the ultrasound, she still have the ovary. Okay, Azamuddin, please mute your microphone. Okay. She have this symptom, but she has the ovary and she still have the ovum, but only lacking of the uterus. Another students of mine, she and her mother, when she's 17 years old after SPM, she thinks that she never experienced that, and her mother took her to the hospital and they discovered this. She also has no uterus but have a good ovary that able to produce sperm, ovum. So another way, so by understanding this, for instance, if you have this MRKH, you'll know that you're not able to have an implantation, but you still can have a child through surrogate mom ataupun kaedah ibu tunggang surrogate, or you can also have adoption, anak angkat. This is one of the situation, but this situation will comes along with ethics, especially as a Muslim. The surrogate is not highly recommended, especially in Malaysia, where the Majlis Kebangsaan, the National Majlis Fatwa Kebangsaan has decided that the surrogate mother is not considered option. I'm not saying it is haram, but it is kind of that things. But it is decided that it's not considered for alternative way because it will give conflict in the nasab. Itu masalah nasab ataupun keturunan. Ada juga ada juga fatwa dari negara lain membenarkan surrogate dengan suami yang sama dengan isteri yang lain. So this wife can have surrogate dia punya polygamy. But somehow still not highly recommended, dengan harapan suami itu jangan ada copulation or intimation with the other wife that holding the surrogate, that poses the surrogate. Okay? Nanti ada konflik pula kan, nanti bergaduh pula lagi bini gitu, nanti anak saya kan anak kau. Okay. So, but genetically, it is not have the macam mana cakap, kalau dari segi understanding this dari segi sains dia, walaupun kamu saya tumpangkan, you become the surrogate, the gene still my genetic, so it will not change the genetic makeup, because the genetic is carried out by ovary unless you have ovary transplant. Contohnya ada perempuan yang tidak ada ovary, so this girl would like to give the ovary. This for me is an issue because the genetic makeup is not from you but is from someone else. But for uterus, if this MRKH able to get a perfect match for the transplant, so go ahead to have a uterus transplant. By my knowledge of biology, there should be no genetically issues because the genetic information will be based on the ovary. So that's the condition that happens in our life. Okay, so that is very important. Not only the male can assist the female in dealing with this situation. Okay. And by understanding this, I said that earlier on we can have the contraception method or the birth control, or in Malaysia through Ministry of Health we call it as a family planning. So why do have family planning? You think that my family members is already enough, so I can do contraception, and this is legal. So you can do the birth control or contraception through condom or oral contraception, or you give IUD, or you can surgical sterilization, buang terus fallopian tube, so tak payah. Okay, kalau oral concentration, basically you taking a progesterone artificial pill. Mostly is the hormonal pill. Okay, comparing the effectiveness. Okay, somehow if oral contraceptive like pills, it is not really efficient if a female would like somehow forget to eat the pills or taking the pills for the certain time, the fertilization or the chances of pregnancy is still there. And another thing is naturally to contraceptive is through breastfeeding. Some breastfeeding also may give changes in the hormone level in the body that can also give family planning or birth control. Or another way is you putting an implant is the safest way. Implant is kind of a hormone. You just put the implant inside your body and will stay up to 5 years, and it will always keep your progesterone and estrogen level high. Okay, and again, yeah, it is inhibits the ovulation because the follicle unable to develop. Okay. Other than contraceptive, by having the knowledge, understanding the cycle, we can also assist the technology, we can also assist you producing another human. Okay, assist production of another human or conceive, opposite to the contraceptive. So we can use the technique IVF, IUI, GIFT, ICSI, ZIFT, or we call it assisted reproductive technology, and it helped millions of infertile couples around the world achieve pregnancy when all other options have failed. Who is it for? Who cannot conceive naturally, okay? Cannot carry pregnancy to term. Okay, ada orang walaupun dia ada uterus tapi macam tidak tahan, macam tu. Very bad condition. Ni contoh dia siapa? Kalau yang famous macam IVF, kita tahu Datuk Siti is taking the term. And cannot carry pregnancy ni, contoh yang very profound is Kim Kardashian, where she always able to carry 2 pregnancy, but these 2 pregnancy of hers is very bad. The body reaction is totally in bad condition and give a high risk to the mom. So another child of hers through surrogate. Those who having hair genetic disorder and who have partners with abnormal sperm. Okay. Abnormal sperm ni kadang-kadang the amount of the sperm is not enough, or it depends how on the sperm, but most of the time the cases is the less amount of the sperm, not really abnormal. Okay. Okay. There is also a risk for the technology, the method that had been applied. For instance, I would say I would like to take ZIFT. This one is similar to IVF. But you have to wait the fertilization occur and see the egg has developed the zygote, and then you plant the zygote to the fallopian tube using laparoscopy or transvaginal method. Okay. In vitro is in vitro, but IVF is in vitro fertilization. GIFT is gamete intrafallopian transfer. This one is unfertilized egg and sperm are transferred into one or both fallopian tubes using laparoscopy. So intracytoplasmic sperm injection, zygote intrafallopian transfer, or test. There's various examples that we can discover those who experience this technology. Another one that we had in Malaysia is siapa tu, the wife of Noh Hujan tu, Miss Nina. Yeah, Miss Nina also sharing her journey for IVF. Okay, right. Class, after understand the hormone, the oogenesis, spermatogenesis, is now we should go to the final destination of the process, is the fertilization. Okay, where the having babies, the art of having babies, how it goes. Okay, but we continue that in next week chapter for growth and development. Okay, now we already take our break. So I would like to continue a little bit more before we reaching 10 o'clock. We still have 10 minutes left. Okay. Class, can you bear with me for reproduction in plant?
Can miss.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, miss.
Okay, sikit lagi ya. Sabar aja, Sepa. Okay, we still have 10 minutes left, so we will continue half of it next week. Okay, let's have a look for reproduction in plant, where in this part I would like to introduce and make you understand, and finally you able to memorize the reproductive organs in flowering plant, and it also involves the gamete formation. Okay. What happened after gamete formation will be further explained in growth and development topics, hopefully in next week. Okay, another terms that have to be bear in mind that there is an alternation of generation, pertukaran antara generasi, sporophyte generation, where it is a diploid, gametophyte generation is haploid, where in male it calls microspores or microgametophyte, and female is called macrospores or megagametophyte. Okay. Okay, this is the life cycle of a tree. Macam tadi pun we had learned how to making a baby. Finally, it will be having a new human. So we focus more on the flowering plant, where from a flower, from the seed, it become a small tree and it has a flower and it become a big tree. Okay, if we can see here, how does it mean by alternation of generation? We have this adopted as a sporophyte generation, 2N or diploid. In the sporophyte generation, they have this flower, the organ of the reproduction, and we have ovary, so we have embryo generation, and finally if the ovary will mature and become the fruit and seed. Okay. Buah yang kita makan tu sebenarnya adalah ovary. Okay. Dan bunga yang kita cium tu sebenarnya adalah reproductive system. And then that makes you have heard that never ever pluck a flower. If you pluck a flower, kamu petik bunga, you may make the tree sterile. Okay, tidak dapat menghasilkan another, not able to reproduce. Okay. Okay, let's go to the flower part where we have stamen and carpel. Bukan superman, bukan stamen, but it is stamen. It consists of anther and filament. Okay, class. Stamen is male reproductive system. It is consists of anther and filament. So in the anther, it has the sperm that we call a pollen. Okay kan? Pollen kan kalau macam bunga raya tu kan, ada yang warna kuning tu, yang habuk-habuk tu. Kalau kamu cium, sebenarnya kamu sedang cium dia punya sperm. Okay, no. Kamu bagi setelah ya. And then we have carpel. It's the nama lain dia adalah pistil. So it is a male reproductive system in flowering plant. It is stigma, style, ostele, or an ovary. Carpel consists of os, ovary, stele, and stigma. Stamen consists of anther and filament. Boleh hafal lah? Okay, so never ever try to pluck a flower. Okay, when we discuss about flower, so flowering plant basically is a dicotyledon plant. Okay, so there is also a flower that we call imperfect flower. Okay, good. Imperfect flower, but it does have both stamen and carpel, but there's another term, incomplete flowers. Okay, flowers are complete if they have all parts, and perfect if they have both male and female parts. Okay, this is very interesting. Okay, kan at the early beginning of the class, I had mentioned about the LGBTQ. Okay, in plant kingdom, they are perfect if they have both male and female parts. So maybe we can suggest to this LGBTQ community, or whoever among you still not uncertain about who you are, it is perfect for you to have both, and if you are belong to plant kingdom. So kita panggil dia si bunga lah kan, LGBTQ ni si bunga-bunga. Sebab in plant kingdom, they are perfect if they have both parts. But not in human world, it is not perfect if we have both. It looks uncommon, okay? But it is well accepted and welcome in female part. Si Cik Bunga, okay? Ada nama baru lah. Sayang buat orang bagi nama LGBTQ, panggil the flower groups kan? Okay? Examples of grass flower which are incomplete, usually imperfect. Okay, grass flower. Okay, it is incomplete, usually imperfect. Okay, separate male and female flower. How about papaya tree? How about papaya tree? Imperfect ka incomplete?
Incomplete.
The best term is imperfect. Sebab kenapa kita tanam pokok betik? Okay, ada bunga dia kan, ada keluar so bunga dia putih-putih tu, tapi kenapa tak pandai berbuah-buah? Aha. It is because it is a male papaya tree. So yang ada yang boleh berbuah is a female papaya tree. Okay. In the condition of papaya tree, it has separate the flower only has one part of the reproductive system. It is not have both, so that's why it is imperfect. Si anda kan nak tuduh imperfect, but in human kingdom it is perfect. Okay. So another example is a tulip. It is considered complete because it had male and female part together in a flower. Okay, it is complete because it has color and petals and perfect. Perfect is the terms used where both a male and female parts are exist. Okay. So let's have a look at animal and plants differences in reproduction system. Okay, gametes, both is haploid. In life cycle, there is no alternation of generation because in animal, for instance human, once kita sudah besar, kita tidak boleh jadi bayi lagi kan. But in plant, sudah jadi pokok, you boleh hasilkan buah atau bunga, you boleh jadi balik pokok. That's how it means. Spores, we have no spores in animal. There is a haploid spores. Gamete is haploid. We do have the diploid organism that is meiosis. Let me check this one. Okay, by meiosis, we do have diploid organism, but the gamete is meiosis. Spores made by diploid sporophyte through meiosis, but no spores in animal. Okay, class. With that, one more. We have 2 minutes left. What does it mean by alternation of generation? Where plants have double life cycle with 2 distinct forms. We have sporophyte form and gametophyte form. Sporophyte is diploid, produce haploid spores by meiosis. Gametophyte is haploid but produce gamete by mitosis. So we will further continue these topics next week. So these are the gamete formation during gametophyte. Okay. With that, I end my lecture. So I hope to see you next week. At the same time, for continuing this reproduction in plant, and hopefully in the middle half of the lecture, we will able to go to the next topic, which is growth and development. Okay.
I want to ask question. Two actually.
Okay.
Question. For the first question is what's the function of polar body?
Okay, what is the function for our body? It is not really have a function. Okay,
Uh,
kan biasanya because it is produced during the meiosis. Okay, we knew that during meiosis we have to producing 4 daughter cell, right?
yes.
In meiosis 1, okay, Kirin mungkin boleh matikan mic sekejap. Okay,
Serius.
okay. In meiosis 1, okay, in meiosis 1, so the oogenesis will producing secondary oocyte and polar body. In ideal way, okay, meiosis should during the telophase, the cytoplasm during the cytokinesis should even separate evenly, right? But in oogenesis, the secondary oocyte and the polar body is imbalanced in size, where all the cytoplasm getting bigger in the secondary oocyte, and this polar body will getting smaller in size. And then what happened to this first polar body? It will disintegrate. Okay. Some say it's may producing, it will further develop. But remember that kan kalau female, we have 22 plus X. Kan? So this secondary oocyte, the bigger one, have 22 plus X autosome cell, and this one is 22 plus X, okay, which is 46 kan, kita ada 46. So this is 22 haploid and then haploid. But this polar body will degenerate. Some says it's also become differentiate, also continue if if secondary oocyte able to get fertilized, this first polar body will able to divide it, continue meiosis II as well. So that finally we will have 4 daughter cell, but 3 of this daughter cell is have no function and will finally degenerate ataupun mati lah. Only one cell is survive and have a real ovum. So and that's how the theory where the ovarian cyst come from this disintegrated of polar body. Okay, sepatutnya dia tidak develop lah, tapi dia ada membawa maklumat genetik sebab it is already undergo meiosis. Ada juga cakap the strong polar body that once the sperm able to go to the polar body, it also may fertilize, and this is explaining the formation of a twin. Okay, bagaimana kejadian kembar berlaku. Okay. But we know that every month only one ovum secondary oocyte will be released. So this is, they said, how another phenomenon of twin occur. But basically, this polar body have no function because due to difference of size, the real ovum is only from the secondary oocyte. But finally, this polar body, if it is divided, it will make the complete 4 haploid cell, but disintegrate. These 3 will have no function and finally kill themselves. Okay.
Okay.
I hope it answers Nakudin.
Yes.
But genetically, it's very rare to have infertility.
Okay. Thank you, Miss.
Okay. Thank you for the questions.
Welcome.
Alright. Okay, class. Thank you for your participation. Yeah, thank you, Faris. Okay, any question left? Any girls would like to ask anything?
Yeah. Good morning, doctor. Can I ask
Okay,
a question?
Sure.
When you talk about the syndrome, I suddenly thought about there are certain cases where the embryo was implanted in the fallopian tube. Can you explain about that condition and what can it cause? What are the effects to the mother and to the baby?
Zygote, you meaning the ART, the artificial technology?
No. There are certain cases where usually the embryo was implanted in the uterus,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But there are some rare cases where the embryo was implanted in the fallopian tube.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, can you explain about it and the effects to the mother and the baby? Thank you.
Alright.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, Alia. It's very advanced question because I will talk about it in the next chapter. Okay, but let's have a look. Let's have a glance look to the uterus. Okay. Kalau orang Melayu cakap apa tu bunting anggur. Okay. So this is where the situation. This is our uterus. It is continued. It has an elongated fallopian tube. So this is ovary and this is the embryo. Not like the sperm, they will able to swim along this way and should able to swim up to this area, the fallopian tube or the oviduct. And fertilize the ovum. And after that, once fertilization, the embryo, we're not calling it embryo, we call it morula blastocyst. Then after 16 up to 20 type of cell macam seminggu, after 1 week, then we can call it embryo because the rapid mitosis happen, and the embryo should develop and slowly leaving the fallopian tube and go and implanted here. Okay, but there are also conditions where the embryo would not able to go to the uterus but stay here at the fallopian tube and it's getting bigger. We understand that zygote, embryo, and should become a fetus, kan? Will become bigger at this area. So if at the early trimester, if that things happen, that will be high risk to the mother, and the pregnancy should be always will be end up with miscarriage. Katanya keguguran. So kadang di sini tuh. Okay. This is still not, I'm saying, a mysterious way, but there is not exact term that medical can explain why the cell unable to go to this way. When it should be when the zygote happens, the embryo have to go to this way, and this is where the fetus have to get bigger and bigger because there is rapid mitosis. But they're also having here, but mostly in these cases, if this happen, especially in Malaysia's law, we prefer to save the mother, so we suggest for make an operation to uh, uh, miscarriage the pregnancy or we stop the pregnancy. So kalau boleh selamatkan, kita akan buang the zygote, so there will be no baby. But we can suggest the parents to make one, and hopefully, but basically they will suggest a fallopian tube cutting, so you will not able to have another fallopian tube this area, but only one functional fallopian tube. So that is most of the case. So this is what happened. So kadang-kadang kita panggil dia pregnancy bunting anggur ataupun ectopic pregnancy lah. Okay, so I hope it answers you.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, doctor.
Okay, thank you, Alifa. Okay, thank you, class. I will now. If you have any questions so far, any more questions? Okay, if you don't have, I will I will end the meeting. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
All right.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
Take care.